I'm going to show you some junipers later. Here's the cypress family. Mostly evergreen trees or shrubs, including juniper and Arizona cypress, although one deciduous being bald cypress. The description says evergreen species with bark peeling off in strips and having opposite or whorled scale-like leaves and small berry-like cones. So what we call cedar berries are actually cones, and the needles that you think of on a cedar tree, they're leaves. Now this last sentence, deciduous species of wet habitats with alternate linear, flat, and feathery deciduous. Now that's a big clue right there, because that describes perfectly the bald cypress leaf. And if you're in the East Texas in the wetlands, you're going to see these knees sticking up from the roots of the bald cypress. So let's look at some different junipers. Here's Ashe juniper, a blueberry juniper. And this is going to be vegetational regions from the cross timbers, Edwards Plateau, rolling plains, high plains, and the Trans-Pecos. You know, take Interstate 35, where it comes into Texas from Oklahoma, all the way down through San Antonio, turn and go toward Uvalde. Everything west of that area is going to be where Ashe juniper is fairly common. Ashe juniper wants to be an upright tree, especially if it's growing in conjunction with other trees and it's having to compete for sunlight. But if it's out in the open without competition, it can make kind of a sprawled out tree, much like a Redberry juniper does. Redberry will never be a tree. It's always a multi-stem shrub. And then another common cedar is the Eastern red cedar. It has a Christmas tree pyramid shape to the trunk, to the shape of the tree. Now, Redberry is also out in the western part of the state. The Eastern red cedar is going to be east from, say, the Blacklands east. You might say I-35 east, and a little bit into the eastern Edwards Plateau. But these are probably the three most common junipers. There's 5 or 6 other junipers in Texas, but these are the most common across most of the state. So we need to look at making some identification clues on these. Well, if we look at Ashe juniper, it has blueberries. Eastern red cedar also has blueberries, but they're predominantly not in the same region of the state. They're on opposite ends of the state. Redberry juniper has red berries. Now, this is not going to be found in a plant book. This is country boy botany right here. Fits me. And I'm not a botanist, but I'm a country boy. The 3 R's, how you can use the 3 R's, not reading, writing, and arithmetic, but how to identify juniper. So Redberry juniper in the middle here will have this white rosin. It's exuded, it's a wax-like substance exuded from the needles, and it will be on the stems and the needles. It can be washed off in a rain, but it'll come back in 2 or 3 weeks, or more will be exuded. And if your plant has this white rosin, which looks like white pepper or dandruff, then that's Redberry. Now, assuming there's no berries on it. So you're looking for other clues than looking at the berries. If you don't see, in the western half of the state, if you don't see rosin on the cedar, it's very likely Ashe juniper. Over here on the Eastern red cedar, it doesn't have the rosin either. Now, if you look along the road or wherever you're at and someone has cut off a juniper and they cut it off below the lowest green branch, there was no branches left, and that cedar has resprouted from the cut off stump, that is Redberry. Ashe juniper and Eastern red cedar will not resprout if you cut them off below the lowest green branch. So the 3 R's, Redberry has rosin and it's a resprouter. Easy to remember. You can also use the smell test. If you crush the leaves, now you need to, please don't cross-contaminate because it'll confuse you. If you're going to do this side by side with a Ashe juniper and a Redberry juniper, use different hands. Take your left hand and say you're right here where the Redberry plant is. So crush some of these leaves in your left hand, smell of it. If it smells like light oil, and often described as 3-in-1 machine oil, that is a smell of Redberry. If you crush it in your right hand and smell of it, it will smell like Vicks Vapor Rub. And you notice right here in the ingredients of Vicks Vapor Rub, cedar leaf oil. And it smells exactly like Vicks salve. Now, the smell of Eastern Red Cedar, all I can say is it smells like a Christmas tree, because that's the tree we used to cut when I was a kid for Christmas trees.